Hi everyone, it's Ash from FPL Hints here with my first UCL Fantasy draft ahead of Matchday 1 with Fixtures. As always, if you're able to like, share and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. New for the 25-26 season, I've got a WhatsApp broadcast channel. Feel free to join on the link below. And also, if you want to buy me a coffee, a link of that is in the description below as well. If you want to see my first draft that was without Fixtures, that will act as my reference point. A link of that is in the description below. So I'll do a quick check-in with the fixtures first of all, and then I'll go straight into creating this draft. So fixtures, just getting straight into it. I'm not going to go through every team here, but the matches and also the teams that catch my eye, I'll certainly call them out. So just going straight to the champions first of all in PSG. So PSG this time around have a very mixed run, to say the least. Again, one of the teams that are fixture proof, so it's not as if I won't pick a PSG player because the fixture run isn't easy by the color code. Another team that really catches my eye as well is Real Madrid. Very generous run of opening 3 games, and certainly they would want to hit the ground running after the season they had last time around in the Champions League. And you've got Spurs, who are back after a long hiatus. Very reasonable 4 games. I'd argue that among teams for the first 4 games, Spurs have a very reasonable run. And another team I want to give a shout out to, who are back after 2 seasons, Newcastle United. I know it's Barcelona in that first fixture, which brings about a lot of nostalgia with a 3-2 win from the 97-98 season. But beyond that fixture, Union SG, Benfica, Bilbao, Marseille, definitely winnable matches there. So probably an honourable mention in terms of the run that they have. And then you've got Liverpool, the Premier League champions. With them, I'd say it's not the hardest fixture run in the world, but it's certainly not the easiest. But again, fixture proof doesn't really matter. And then coming on to the German teams, you've got Dortmund. I'd argue that's a fairly reasonable run. Definitely worth getting attacking cover for them. And then Bayern Munich. Beyond that Chelsea match, Paphos and Club Bruges. Definitely not the worst fixtures. And again, fixture-proof team as well. You've got Arsenal. I'd say fairly reasonable run for them in the first 4 matches. So just wanted to call that out specifically. And in terms of some of the new teams, you've got Paphos, you've got Karabakh, you've got Kairat Almaty. Again, they're not going to be going to the advanced stages, last famous words. So definitely worth factoring them in if you're looking to target certain teams. So yeah, that's just the reference point in terms of fixtures that I'll be factoring in and the teams that are worth considering as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into constructing this draft. And I'm not going to go position by position. I'm going to base this upon just how I'm going to go structure-wise in terms of this team. So the first player that really catches my eye, I'm going to go to PSG, and it's Dembele, who, as I mentioned in my previous video, has been reclassified as a forward this time around. And with him, he's had a brilliant season, and no doubt he'd want to continue that momentum for the 25-26 season. And yeah, he's the first name on my team sheet here. And then going to midfield, another player who's had a positional change. There we go. Vinicius Jr. started off the season fairly reasonably for Real Madrid. And I think these two players, despite both having negative and positive out of position changes in UCL Fantasy, they just catch my eye from the get-go. So 2 premiums straight off the bat. Let's go to defense now. And Hakimi is the no-nonsense pick. He's got the attacking prowess, got the defensive prowess. Again, fixture-proof, so I basically will be picking him, and there's no questions about that. So straight off the bat, 74.5 million left to complete the remaining 12 slots. And I'll go back to midfield now. And it was interesting. Last season, you had Rafinha and you had Yamal, who were identically priced. And of course, Rafinha scored double the amount of points as Yamal. I think this time around, things will be different. Yamal is priced a bit more expensive for a reason, and his percentage is actually 13% more as well. I'm going to pick Yamal just from a percentage. I'm not going to just pick a template team. I'm going to pick players that I'd say have a reasonable run, and I'm not going to just target that first fixture only, albeit I don't mind wildcarding early in UCL Fantasy and using my chips quite early as well. But I think Yamal does make sense from having attacking Barcelona cover. I'll go to the forward lineup now, and a player that catches my eye from a points per million perspective is Guirassy. Again, not the easiest, not the hardest run of opening games for him and Dortmund, but yeah, he's proven himself time and time again in UCL Fantasy, and he's hard to ignore at that price point. I do have this habit sometimes where I go super expensive with my front line, getting likes of Kane and Mbappe and the like, and then it often leads to a imbalanced team. So I'm fairly happy with picking him for the time being. And then looking at the other options, yeah, Lewandowski, definitely not going to pick him. Just think Father Time may have caught up with him. Pavlidis, I think 7 million, interesting. May basically could be an option, to be fair, for that first fixture alone if I want to unlock funds. Yeah, and Mbappe, not going to get him when I've got Vinicius Jr. And just going further down, yeah, Thuram is a bit of a rotation risk. Haaland, he isn't the same Haaland from a year or two ago, so I'd probably give him a miss. Got Gyökeres now at Arsenal, and we know Gyökeres is one of those players who just does really well in the Champions League. And you got Luis Diaz, the former Liverpool man, could be an option as well, but not in that Bayern Munich team. The player that I want to pick, just going all the way down, if I can find him. In fact, this can't be. Let's sort it by percentage because he will appear. There he is, Isak. Interestingly enough, £9 million in UCL Fantasy, cheaper in this format than FPL. He'll want to hit the ground running. He's broken the British transfer record, so I'll give him a shout at that price point. And I definitely wanted attacking Liverpool cover. It won't be Mohamed Salah. And yeah, there are other options, and I'm not sure how his minutes will be managed, but you'd expect him to be a regular starter for Liverpool after the money that they've paid, and in he comes. So that leaves me with 47.5 million now for the remaining 9 places, and I'll go back to midfield. And I did mention Spurs, and Spurs, who did win the Europa League, which allowed them to basically get to the group stages of the Champions League. So I'm going to see if this player that I've got in mind, in fact, let's just pick Spurs in this filter here and apply the filters. So with Spurs in particular, you've got Kudus and Johnson, who I'd really consider from the attacking side of things. I think the other players would be at risk of rotation, or they don't offer much. But just purely from a price point of view, I'll pick Johnson. I think in any case, both offer exceptional value. Wanted definitely some Spurs attacking cover, so in he comes. And the next player I've got in mind, now I don't have Harry Kane, but I do want attacking Bayern Munich cover. And there's just so many players I can pick. But the one who catches my eye just due to his price point, and he's a regular starter, it's Elise. I think from an X-Min's perspective, he also makes sense as well. So in he comes. And coming on to that 5th berth. Now, I know in FPL we've got DEFCON points now. Well, we've had almost the equivalent in UCL Fantasy for quite some time with ball recoveries. And the good thing is that's not capped. So the player that catches my eye, if I go to, I want to cap it at £6 million. And of course, like ball recoveries is just ball recoveries, whereas DEFCON is more, but points are capped. It's Caicedo, who has proven what a defensive monster he is from midfield, and it's got a bit of attacking prowess as well. Chips in with a goal and assist every now and then, and like every year there is that one player in UCL Fantasy who becomes like this ball recoveries magnet. You've seen it with Rodri 2 seasons ago. I think Caicedo could be that player at that price point, so I'm going to pick him for the time being, just to have some Chelsea cover as well. So that leaves me with £27 million for the remaining 6 berths. I'm going to go straight to the goalkeepers. I want to get 4.5 million goalkeepers, and let's just filter it there. So with the goalkeepers, it is difficult getting goalkeepers at that price point that are regular starters. You've got with Barcelona, you've got different options available, but Chevalier catches my eye for PSG. Of course, Donnarumma moved on transfer deadline day to Man City. Chevalier has been a regular starter for PSG this season, so in he comes. And I know the fixtures aren't the best, but I'd expect them to be relatively fixture proof. Now, the other slot I've got available, so De Gregorio I did pick last season for Matchday 1, and he had a reasonable run of games, but didn't really make an impact. I think Trafford will no longer be an option because of Donnarumma, and no doubt there'll be other options that emerge. Now, for the time being, I'm going to pick Trubin of Benfica. He is a rotation risk because I think in the Portuguese league matches, he's been benched, but he has been starting in the Champions League qualifiers, and he was a regular starter for Benfica as well towards the end of last season. So he is a placeholder, but going to have him for the time being because I can also rotate him accordingly with Chevalier as well. And yeah, worst case scenario, if Trubin is rotation risk and this becomes apparent before match day 1, then I'll flip him out for another 4.5. So that's 18 million to fill in the remaining 4 berths for this draft. In defense, let's go. So I want to have a mixture here of attacking prowess and also like just value in defense. And the name that catches my eye for defense specifically, he's not going to be highly owned, but let's just see if he comes up on this list here. I'm going all the way down because I did mention Spurs. If I can see where he is. He's not appearing on this list, interestingly enough. So let's sort it by, in fact, I've got the price filter on. So let's just have a look. If I can find him, should pop up. There he is, Pedro Porro. He's got the attacking prowess. He's got the defensive prowess. I know Spurs aren't known for their clean sheet potential, but shouldn't really matter in UCL Fantasy. He's got the reasonable run of games as well. I think reasonably priced at £5 million. So in he comes. And a bit of a differential as well. I'll now go to Arsenal, who proved to be exceptional in the Champions League when it comes to clean sheets in recent seasons. So the player that catches my eye here has been a regular starter in the league, and it's Calafiori. I think points per million could be very interesting when you've got the likes of Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, who are priced a bit more. And yeah, could be a rotation risk, could be an X-Men's issue, but for the time being, he fits this puzzle. So in he comes. That's 3 attacking players in defense. So let's now go back to basics and pick players who can offer value as well from their price point. And the one that really catches my eye, he was at the Club World Cup as well, if I'm not mistaken. And let's just stick to affordable players. If I can find him on my list, there he is. It's Huijsen, who the former Bournemouth man. So I think he has been a regular starter for Real Madrid this season as well. No nonsense pick at that price point. So in he comes. So leaving with £4 million to complete this final pick now. And yeah, you do get options every now and then. Like you've got Araujo as an option, got Mauro Jr. I think fixtures could be an issue for Araujo, and for Mauro Jr., not the best of fixtures either. Of course, you've got, let's get him up there. You've got Anton, but I'm not sure if he's going to be a regular starter this time around. And I'd rather have just attacking cover for Dortmund. Just going all the way down, the player that catches my eye, there he is, Sporting. It's Fresneda, and he has been getting regular starts for Sporting Lisbon this season at that price point as well. And Sporting Lisbon, I know it's a different team post Gyökeres, weren't exactly keeping clean sheets last season, to be fair, in the Champions League, but Kairat Almaty at home in the opening match and Marseille in the third match, think at that price point, you're not really expecting clean sheets, but just offers something just as a piece that fits the jigsaw. So can't really complain there. So that's the budget maxed out, and how it would work with this first draft, albeit it is my first draft with fixtures. I will do an update as well after the international break, and I'll also share my final draft just before the deadline as well. So of course, Trubin and Chevalier rotating goalkeepers, and then I'd start off with Calafiori, Pedro Porro, and Huijsen for the opening match day, and you've got Hakimi, who will sub in accordingly, and Freshneda for the 18th. The captain for match day 1 will definitely be Vinicius Jr., and then for the second day, Dembele, and if neither of those options work, then I've got Lamine Yamal as an option, or even Isak as well. So plenty of captaincy options with this draft. It's very balanced, and I'd say I've covered a lot of the bases. And Real Madrid, I've got the double up there, and oddly enough, a double up with Spurs as well. I wasn't trying too many double ups, and also I've got the double up, of course, with PSG. But I feel that where there's value, I'll pick those players in this first draft. And of course, come the matches after the international break, it could very well be that these players pick up injuries or they're flagged for different reasons. But there you have it for now. Let's just sort this by percentage now. So I haven't got Mbappe, but that's fine. I feel Vinicius Jr. can hopefully cover him. Haven't got Rafinha, but I have got Yamal. Haven't got Vitinha at that price point, but the fixtures, like I said, at that price point, I'm happy to just have Dembele and Hakimi. I'm not going to double up with Nuno Mendes and Hakimi. No David Raya, but I've got Calafiori. Not going to pick a Liverpool defender. They've just not been great defensively this season. Again, Pedri, there is an option for Barcelona, but I've got Yamal. I think that's covered. Haven't got Kane, but neither have 77% of UCL Fantasy managers at the time of recording. And Courtois, haven't got him, but of course I've got Huijsen. So a lot of the bases are covered there. Haven't got Saliba, got Calafiori. Dumfries, offers exceptional value for Inter Milan, but in terms of attacking cover, I've got Hakimi, Pedro Porro, Calafiori, so I'm not too worried there. I think Declan Rice could be an interesting pick. Again, haven't got him, but I've got Caicedo, and I feel that Caicedo at 6 million from a points per million perspective could match or do better than Declan Rice. And you've got Koundé, but fixtures aren't, well, not the worst, but yeah, I'm happy not to have a Barcelona defensive asset for the time being. Valverde, surprised he's that highly owned in UCL Fantasy. And Reinders, who I've got in my FPL team, interestingly enough, he's 5.5 million in FPL, 6.5 million in UCL Fantasy. Could be an option. I haven't got any attacking Man City cover, and if I can unlock an extra $500,000, I could definitely get Reinders in instead of Caicedo. Luis Diaz, not an option for that Bayern Munich team, just so many attacking options. And yeah, you got Gyökeres for Arsenal, proven in the UCL, of course, but it's a different kettle of fish altogether with this Arsenal team. But to be fair, he will be the focal point of the attack up top. You've got Kimmich, who offers that defensive prowess from midfield time and time again. I think Mohamed Salah at 10.5 million. From a points per million perspective, I've got no doubt that Isak could match him this season. And of course, you've got Ekitike of Liverpool as well. So I hope that the X-Mins aren't hemorrhage between him and Isak. And it'll be interesting to see if the team can play with both up top as well. João Pedro, 7.5 million for Chelsea. Now with him, you'd no doubt expect him to get regular starts in the Premier League and also in UCL as well. But X-Mins will be a big issue. They'll be managed. He's not going to constantly play 90 minutes at a time in UCL and also in the Premier League as well. Got Emre Can, 4.5 million. Good value at that price if he's a regular starter. And yeah, just going further down, Haaland, 12% owned, but just, I'm not keen to spend that much on him. So there you have it. That is my first draft with fixtures in UCL Fantasy. I'm keen to hear your thoughts with how this team lines up. Have I got the balance right? Have I got the balance wrong? Is there a player that I've completely missed out on that I should have? And as always, if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Take care and all the best.